this is not a walk in the bar joke. This is 5 politicians and Ryan Bridge walk into Parliament on Budget Day, and what happens? This. Hello, Ryan.
Good morning, and good morning to everyone at home. It is Budget Day. Woohoo! It's not every day you get politicians from all parties in Parliament sitting this close together, but here they are. We've got representatives here from Labour, from National, from the Greens, from Te Pāti Māori, and ACT, of course. David Seymour here for ACT. So what I'm going to do is go along and get a sense from each of them about what they want from this budget. It's Grant Robertson's 5th budget. The new operating spending, $6 billion. What do they want that spent on? Is it the longer term stuff? Is it the infrastructure? Is it the short term cost of living? What are their hopes, their priorities for this budget? I'm going to go down the line. Now, what I've done, just to make it interesting, is I've given each of them a piece of paper with a number on it, because I couldn't choose, of course, who was going to go first. So I don't know where I'm starting. So who has got number 1? Marama Davidson, the Greens. And we start here this morning. Good morning, Morena. Thanks for coming down this morning.
I was forced to, but you're welcome.
You're under duress. All right, so what do you want to see from the budget?
Well, we've always been clear that we need a stable climate to hand back to our mokopuna. We want to protect our beautiful taiao nature, and everyone needs to be able to live with dignity. So we'd like to help. We'd like to see a budget that helps with all of those goals, and especially I want to say there are people who have been struggling with the cost of living for decades, and they especially, as well as middle income earners who are starting to struggle, need immediate relief. So we'd like to see livable incomes, we'd like to see an overhaul to the welfare system, a commitment to actually doing what the experts have told us needs to be done.
This is a serious boost to the
lifting the lowest
benefit.
Incomes, absolutely, and the welfare expert group were very, very clear that that needed to happen as soon as possible.
Do you think it's going to happen though?
Look, I don't know what's in the budget as much as you don't.
Do you know what's in with your portfolio though? Obviously, what's happening there?
We've already announced my $114.5 million prevention violence budget, which actually just upholds the commitments in Te Aorere Kura, which is our elimination strategy to eliminate family violence and sexual violence. And I'm really pleased that we're starting to build up the changes in how we operate and a focus on preventing violence from happening in the first place.
Okay, so your big thing, cost of living, but start at the bottom and then work your way up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that, for example,
time's running out.
The least wealthy 50% of the country are all scrapping over only 2%. That's got to change. So 2% of our wealth.
For someone who didn't want to be here, you're certainly taking your time. Marama Davidson from the Greens. Kia ora. All right, moving on. Who's number 2? Okay, here we go. David, good morning.
Hey.
Yours is going to be like the opposite of that, right?
Well, there's some things we want in common. I think it's important that this doesn't go down in history as the brain drain budget. We got to ask, what are we doing for people whose primary way of getting more money is not a government handout, but something called working? Because this government has increased taxes by $14 billion in the last couple of years. People see every other price go up because government spending is inflationary. And if we don't find a way to make this a place where it's attractive to meet your bills and actually stay and plan your future, then people with get up and go, some of them at least, will get up and leave. And that's the problem.
So that's $6 billion in new operating spending. What would you spend?
Look, we'd actually reduce it back to 3, first and foremost. There's no reason to be putting more fuel on an inflationary fire, which is what this government's going to do. And here's the other reason why you wouldn't spend that much. You don't want to put pressure on inflation that needs to be dealt with by the Reserve Bank, because you know how the Reserve Bank deals with inflation?
Our mortgage rates.
Puts up your mortgage.
No one likes that, do they?
That's right.
David, you've had your time now. Thank you very much for coming down this morning.
What a wonderful time it was. Thank you.
Hey, you want to cut the budgets, I'll cut your time. David Seymour from the ACT Party. I'm caught. Thank you. Thanks, Marama. So caring. Thank you. All right. Well, I've lost the mic altogether. We don't need it. Nicola from the National Party. Are you 3rd?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. We happen to be... Oh, this is good. We've got the 2 big guns here. All right. So tell me, so what do you want from the budget? What do you want to see?
We want to see a pathway out of the cost of living crisis, and we want to see relief for the squeezed middle of New Zealanders who are doing it really tough right now. Many of them feel like they're going backwards, and the government has to show them that if they work hard, they can get ahead. We also want to see some real discipline in government spending. You know, the government's books still aren't in balance. We're still accumulating debt as a country, and we want to see that every dollar spent in this budget is going to get outcomes, not just be a nice fancy announcement.
All right, would you extend the petrol excise discount, 25 cents?
Well, look, our priority is tax relief for the squeeze middle. We've put forward a package which would mean that your average household would benefit to the tune of $1,600 a year, because actually prices across the board are going up.
Yeah.
Whether it's your rent, your mortgage, your groceries, your petrol, there's a lot of pressure on New Zealand families and New Zealand individuals.
All right. All right, I'm going to talk about that, because obviously the excise duty is a huge one for people, and it's due to expire in about a month. Also, public transport, half-price public transport, that's going to expire as well. So thank you, Nicola. Great to have you here this morning, Nicola Willis from the National Party. And who's next?
I'm number 4.
Oh, this is handy. This is like very economical for me. All right, Minister, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So you've seen the budget.
Yeah, and you're not going to trick things out of me either, Ryan.
Yeah, I've been thinking all morning how I'm going to do this. But you'd have to say, wouldn't you, that on petrol and on public transport, you know, people have become accustomed to this now. You can't take it away.
Look, there's only a few more hours to wait. All will be revealed. But I think what people have seen from our government is that we have been pragmatic when it comes to a number of these issues. We understand that there was pain and we needed time for people to readjust. I mean, I think
Is there still pain?
Look, I think what we're also seeing is that we're seeing crude going up again, so prices at the pump. That's what's driving it. People can be rest assured we're monitoring very closely what the margins the fuel companies are taking, and they've actually gone down since we introduced these measures. But all will be revealed. But more broadly over the budget, I think one of the things that that we've been really clear is that this will be a budget that will be about climate. We've seen some of that earlier in the week. Obviously health, that's got to be a huge priority.
But cost of living has to be right up there. You know, working for families tax credits, are we going to see a change
Look,
there?
we're not a government that's just discovered cost of living pressures for New Zealanders. We've been doing that since we came into government, right from our first working for
That's a
families
pretty strong indication we're going to see some change today.
Not at all. What I'm saying is we are not a government that's just discovered cost of living pressures. What we saw at 1 April that came into being, some pretty big increases for people, $80 a fortnight for a couple on superannuation. That came in this year, that we understand that things have had to change. We've shown that through every budget. But look, I think in terms of the squeezed middle, what we need to make sure is that actually anything that is happening is targeted. Someone on $40,000 a year, $2.15 is not going to make a big amount of difference.
Targeted working for families, isn't it? All right, Megan, thank you very much. That is the Associate Minister of Finance, Megan Woods. And finally this morning, Rawiri Waitisi from Te Pāti Māori Party. Morena.
Best for last.
Yeah. How are you this morning?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. What do you want to see from the budget today?
Well, hey, look, we're hoping the government has learned from the COVID-19 lockdown, and so you know, devolution to Māori by Māori for Māori worked, and we're hoping to see more of that in this particular budget. We want to see the Māori Health Authority get the same as what Health New Zealand is going to get. We don't want anything less.
You want the same budget?
Absolutely. If you're going to close inequities for Māori health, if we're going to close the mortality rates where Māori die 7 to 10 years earlier than everybody else, we must invest in a health system that's going to make a difference and not just piddle around the sides.
Well, you'll be out of money, Megan.
I know we can make that up somewhere. The other one is cost of living. That's a huge issue across the board. GST of Kai will make a huge difference for our families in their homes, and so we want to make sure that you know, we're making policy changes that will make a difference to our whānau at home. We want to make sure that they can put Kai on the table, transfer that tax to wealth tax, capital gains, empty house tax. There's over 190,000 empty houses here that should be used for the greater good of Aotearoa, but it is not. They are empty. They should be taxed. The justice system, putting more police on the footpath is going to mean more dead Māori, and that's just the way it is. There's been an increase in incarceration rates for Māori, up 2% since 2019, and so we need more preventative programs. Housing is another. I'm glad the housing minister is here. If we make up 50% of the social housing waiting list, we must get 50% of the stock. And so it's simple. The data is there. Let's just do the job and make a difference for our whānau.
Kia ora, Rawiri. Thanks for coming this morning. Good to see you, mate.